food hero. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, sir.
Let us first look at how women are doing so well in farming. Tell us how you picked interest first in farming.
Way back in 2007, I was like looking for a white-collar job when I graduated 93. But when I could not get it, I went into yogurt production. From there, I said we moved from Lagos to Abuja. And since I was not having NAFDAC registration in my yogurt production, I decided to go into farming because I know that farming does not require NAFDAC. So I said, okay, let me go into it. I started by getting 150 beds laying, and then later on I increased it to about 500,000. Despite that, I was still getting supply of eggs from Jos, and I was just excited doing it because I had passion for it, and it was putting food on my table as at that time.
You know, women like you are not, you know, and I don't know, women outside who are doing farming face a lot of challenges when it comes to that aspect.
Yes.
Knowing that Nigeria is seriously facing food security, a shortage of food supply all around the country. How are you able to overcome these challenges, knowing well that there is demand, huge demand for food?
The challenges have to be overcome because when you are into something, you have to adapt. Then when we had training with Oxfam and GSEF, they taught us on how to be able to adjust to most of those challenges and adapt to it. Then how to mitigate the effect of those challenges. So now we are into the poultry farming. Now I'm into broilers. And the most challenges I have is maybe the weather is affecting us. That is, we now talk about climate change, and which was what the lecture they taught us. The Oxfam really lectured us, and they taught us of how we can adapt to the climate change. Heat majorly disturbs my birds, and sometimes I can see them dying, but I come to try to overcome the challenge by exposing them, making the right pen for them, making a well-ventilated environment for them, so that my mortality will be reduced. And in doing that, I have seen that I have achieved a lot of. So most of the challenges that we majorly face in poultry are just like the prices of the feeds are going up because of the prices of things that are already skyrocketing. So going by the prices of feed going up, we buy a bag that we used to buy in those days for 2,000 naira. Presently is 22,000 naira. So we try to make it and see if we can make money and produce our own feeds. If it is possible, you produce your own feed. Then you try to go organic and make sure that your chicken will be well fed. And by the time they get to the market, we will make enough sale. So I think the challenges that the training we have gotten from Oxfam so far, and GSEF in collaboration with GSEF so far, has really trained us. They've really trained us. It was an intensive training before we emerge as the Ogbonge women, which means a strong woman, a virtuous woman, and so a woman that can put food on the table for his family, and a woman that can hustle and make the money.
You know, the other part of this conversation is the finance part.
Yes.
So while you were trying to make sure that your animals or your pets are in good shape, there's also the part of where you need money to finance whatever. Like you said, the feeds that you were buying for 2,000 naira, now you now buy them for over 20,000 naira. That means that's over maybe 200% increase, yes, in whatever you were buying before. So how do you manage, you know, all of those differences, and you're still able to be in the business of farming to make sure that, you know, you put food on the table for the family?
Well, like my capital base when the prices started going up, I decided to like approach BOI. I filled the form. I did everything so that I can access funds from them to expand on my business. But that was recently. So by the time, it was a rapid program. By the time I filled the form, I was about to submit the form, and April was my birthday, and I was submitting the form in May. They told me just within 2 weeks, I have exceeded, the age limit, that I need to be below 55 before I can access the loan. So along the line, I said, wow, though before now, I have taken facilities from some few macrofinance, which I used to expand and increase my capital base. When I increased the capital base, it was still not meeting up to the 22,000 naira per bag beds. I have to increase the price of my poultry beds when they are ready to go into the market. So increasing the price, you have to look for buyers or sellers that can come buy from you and go out to sell. So by the time you increase the price, you will still be able to make some little profits, which can make you to remain in the business.
Tell us more about Obonge Women Farmers. Tell us, how you people are able to come together and, of course, make sure that you want to contribute to the economy of the country by going into serious farming. Tell us more about it.
The Obonge Women, we were brought together under one umbrella by Oxfam and GSEF, which is a great thing they've done for us. They have really made us to open our eyes to a lot of things. Because of the intensive training we did, we are united. The Obonge women are united, and we are out to do exploits, because we have been taught on so many ways we can stand on our own, so many ways we can do exploits in the country, so many ways we can overcome the challenges of the food insecurity. So the way we are now, as we are to work together as a team, and I would trust in Oxfam because they are ready to work with us. They are ready to build us. The inequality that women are really suffering, they are there to fight for us, because Oxfam fights for injustice. That is what they do. And then the land ownership, we women cannot really own land except our husbands. We cannot inherit land in our father's land, in our father's house. Then when we are married, you get to your husband's house, you cannot. So I think Oxfam has promised us, because they are there to fight for us, that this land ownership, because women are already on the farm, they have already taken over from the men, and that land ownership is what we are appealing to, and I know they are ready to fight for us so that women can own land on their own and go into this farming and make sure that they feed their children and put food on the table for their family.
I think it's just very commonsensical when you want to do a business, yes, and because women cannot own farms, yes, land rather, you want to do business. So it is very, I think any sensible person should look at it from that angle, that you should be giving a land to a farm, because it's at the interest of everybody in the country, irrespective of the gender that is doing the business. I think that's what should play out. But let me just ask you this: we have huge food insecurity in the country. Tell us, how do you think that what you and the other Obonge women are doing can help, solve this menace that we're facing? How do you think it can help solve it?
In solving the menace that we are facing right now, about maybe the prices of food, the ecosystem, the climate, the global warming, and all that, I think we can solve the problem by trying to adapt, by trying to create ways that we can adapt and survive on our own. Because without farming now, we can go nowhere. Because you get to the market to buy, you are frustrated. The prices have gone up. Like a cup of gari now, it's something else, which is a food for the common man. So now, as we are trying to survive on our own and try to make sure that we adapt and create ways and means to which we can get out of this insecurity. Because on the farm now, food insecurity. On the farm, people farm their food, this thing, cattle come in there to eat everything. So the security, if the government is coming in, we know right now the government is trying all they can, but we cannot wait for the government. We have to do it on our own. Because when you keep waiting for the government, you are delaying yourself and you have to move forward. So we have decided as Ogbonge women to go onto the farm and try to solve most of those problems that we have. Like now, as a poultry farmer, I've decided to go into crop farming because they've taught us on how we can use bags to do our farming right in our compound. So if I can get my bags, like my poultry feeds, they are empty bags from my poultry feeds, fill them up with loamy soil. I can do all my planting within my compound because I don't really have enough land. The space I have, I've planted corn recently and they are growing. Before I came for the program, I planted in 3 sacks water yam and they were already coming up before I left the house. By the time we start this, I think we can overcome the challenges of cattle coming to your farm to finish your food, flood coming to wipe away your crops, and all those. I am not really into crop farming, but the Oxfam has really challenged me. The lecture I've taken, I'm still going back into crop farming because I've told my husband the vast land that the father have in the village, please, let's go to the farm, and he has accepted. By the time I leave here, I get back to Kogi State, I am going back, taking my husband to the village. Please, even if you can't do it, I will walk behind you. Let's do it. And we will get there. So that food will not be an issue in the family. My children will not be lamenting, what are we eating today? How do we get to the market to buy things? But when we are doing it on our own, I think it is the best way that every family should just take.
I think that your submission is very important. This is just to say that every other women, every other person should go into farming. I remember I saw one of my boss's video on the social media where he actually planted tomato. Yes. In his compound.
Exactly.
You know? And I think that that's a good way to go.
I've started it.
You know, everywhere things are expensive, so you need to devise another means yes, of getting, making sure that you have food on the table. Exactly. If you can't go to the market and buy tomato or pepper, just grow it in your compound. Yes. And I think that's the way to go. Yeah, exactly. What's your message for every other woman out there who is just folding her hands and saying there's nothing on to contribute, but things are the way they are? Yeah. What's your message to them? My message to all women in the nation is they should get up and work. They should not wait for their man to bring food before they can eat. My marriage over 30 years, my husband would tell me, I'm waiting for the day you will ask me for 1 naira. I never did. Because I started struggling on my own from yogurt production in Lagos. I came back to Abuja. When I knew it was getting to the time for me to make demand from my husband, I said, no, I will not. I cleared the land, built a small pen in the house, and I started my poultry farm. Instead of me asking my husband, he comes back to say, madam, help me with so coins. I give him. So each time he sees me, he looked at me and said, I'm proud of you. You are my comfort zone. Because from the poultry farm, the building I am presently in Kogi State, Uphill GRA, I did it myself. I did it. I've not completed it, but because I wanted to start my poultry farm, I moved into it, though it was already roofed. So gradually I started the work. From the poultry farm, I get change and I do it. So every woman should not wait until the man brings before you eat. Do it. Get up. That way, you will even earn respect from your husband. Like my children would tell me, Mommy, your love is new every day. This man is... I said, yes. It's because of who I am to him. I never disturbed him. Give me money to buy clothes. Give me money to do this. So I challenge every woman. They should try to be independent. Because later in life, if your husband is no more, you should be able to stand on your own. You should be able to speak for yourself. And that I have really trained myself
for it because my mother gave me the training.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I think that was a passionate submission that you have made to every woman. And it's also not to every woman, everybody out there. It's a passionate appeal, most especially when food is an essential part of what we live for. So everybody can be a farmer now. And the military authority says they are now providing security to farmers as part of the effort to ensure full security in the country. Director of Defense Media Operations